Live from our 7 Tasmania studios, your nightly news with Kim Miller begins now.
Pack your bags, cars will soon sail for free on the Spirit of Tasmania. The boat bargain sealed by the Commonwealth will run from March until June. It's now hoped the Bass Strait Equalisation Scheme's expansion will see tourism boosted long after the summer rush.
With winding roads showing off stunning views, for many, Tasmania is the perfect place for a driving holiday.
Tasmania is a very popular motorcycling destination. We've got some beautiful scenery and really good quality roads.
And that could quickly become more popular than ever. Announced today, from March until June, cars and motorbikes will travel for free on the Spirit of Tasmania.
It will mean millions of dollars being spent and injected into our regional tourism economy.
Visitors who travel on board the Spirits will stay in Tassie a lot longer, they'll travel around the state a lot more, and they'll get out into the regions.
A welcome step forward after our tourism operators already suffered through several false starts.
As soon as borders closed to Greater Sydney, we sort of lost, within about 4 days, about $70,000 worth of bookings, and then it continued to grow.
Now thankful for the initiative.
I think where we base is so much to see and do around Launceston. So you can base yourself CBD, but you've got the wine routes, you've got food and beverage, etc. So people can really trip around with their cars.
Tasmanians themselves also able to hop across to the mainland a little cheaper.
I've got friends who are keen to get over the Bass Strait to visit Phillip Island and go touring on the mainland.
I expect Tasmanians will want to go and visit loved ones in other jurisdictions. 2020 made it very difficult for us to go and visit many of our family and friends interstate.
But for those who've already booked, they won't get the extra cash. Rebooking is not an option for many, thanks to cancellation fees.
I thank and welcome those people who have booked fares on the Spirits of Tasmania in the period of time this subsidy will apply. This was about stimulating extra demand.
The scheme is currently capped, but the government hasn't ruled out extending it down the track. Josh Duggan, 7 Tasmania News.
Tasmanians are facing waits of more than 3 months to access mental health services, with some providers unable to support any new clients. Those in the industry say it comes down to a lack of psychologists in the state, but they are urging those seeking help not to give up hope.
After one of his restaurants shut during the pandemic, Carl Windsor fought to keep Willing Brothers wine merchants afloat. But behind closed doors, he's been fighting another battle. 18 months ago, he went to his GP seeking help for his mental health.
To do that first step, and that was really positive, and I left there feeling great. And I thought, okay, now all I've got to do is go and book an appointment with a psychologist, and I couldn't.
Long wait time setting him back.
I think for me it was a 3-month wait, and that was 18 months ago. I can only imagine now that due to COVID and more people out trying to access mental health services, that's only skyrocketing.
GPs say they've seen a rise in presentations for mental health referrals since the pandemic began.
So particularly one of the big roles I've had as a GP is helping people to unpack their mental health and some of the unforeseen consequences of restrictions.
Wait times for referrals to private psychologists were up to 6 months in November, with half of all providers indicating little to no capacity for new clients. For Relationships Australia, there's currently a 6-week wait.
So that's a very long time if you're, really in a desperate state and need to work something through.
Saying mental health services struggled with capacity prior to the pandemic, and extra federal government funding is yet to have a significant impact.
There's a limited pool of psychologists, for example, in Tasmania, so it's really quite difficult to build up to meet the increase in needs.
They're urging those seeking help to make the most of services like Lifeline while they wait, and not to give up hope. Next Sides, 7 Tasmania News.
Popular Tasmanian events are returning to the calendar as we leave behind a tough year filled with cancelled celebrations. Various initiatives are now in full swing to allow for COVID safety and to encourage more spending throughout the state.
Prepping behind the wheel here at Carrick Speedway, with roaring engines hitting the dirt track once again.
Well, it's absolutely fantastic, obviously, with a 9-month hiatus, it was wonderful to get back to Cranes Combined Carrick Speedway on Boxing Night. We had a stellar crowd.
More motorsport action returning Saturday night, with the Ultimate Showdown approved through the event's framework. The pandemic precautions launched in October, outlining thresholds and safety requirements for organisers.
The framework that we have is working. We have seen around 41 events apply through the framework, and 28 events have been successful. This means that they have got a framework in place to keep their patrons safe.
It kept everybody safe, everybody enjoyed themselves, and we had no dramas with COVID compliance.
Allowing popular celebrations such as Mona Foma, Festivali, Agfest and potentially Dark Mofo to return, especially welcomed following the absence of major New Year's events impacting hospitality businesses.
In January, February, we definitely would have relied on that tourism, especially just the buzz of having the taste. Sydney to Hobart, without those events, it is a little bit quieter.
With a new app, Passport to Hobart, now available, offering digital vouchers at businesses after spending throughout the city.
There are 49 businesses already registered with this project, and so it's a matter of going to those businesses, spending at least $20.
Encouraging people to get out and about, visit their favourites, their locals, maybe somewhere new. I think it's an awesome idea.
The pilot program is available until next month. Ruby Kamane, 7 Tasmania News.
When state borders opened last year, many Australians were finally reunited after months of isolation. But for Tasmania's migrant community, it's a very different story. With international flights grounded, many are still living with daily heartache and longing.
Chris Ferdinands hasn't seen his mum and sister since December 2019.
It's a very difficult time, especially not being able to travel.
In the past year, Tasmania's Sri Lankan community has grappled with not being able to reach relatives, sometimes in heartbreaking situations.
Some of the community members lost family, and that has been extremely difficult, not being able to go and pay your last respects.
It's a similar story for the state's Filipinos.
It's hard, not knowing, my dad is old, he's a bit sick, and it's, there's no assurance that you will see him anytime soon. But you just have to keep that hope inside that one day soon, yes, we could still see each other.
But they've rallied behind isolated university students.
We consider that they need a lot of support during this time, so we have been navigating a lot of options on how to help them in any way we can.
They constantly check on us, our condition, how are we doing every day, and particularly they're distributing goods that will help us to survive.
In November, a community fiesta helped raise funds for those struggling while at uni. Launceston's South Sudanese community is also still confronted by closed international borders, made worse by poor communications in refugee camps.
They are not connecting even, and some of the places actually there's no reception, so you hardly make any contact with everyone.
After having to hibernate programs, the Migrant Resource Centre is back after a tough year.
The getting together, the lack of contact, the continued family separation, which is a reality for most of our clients anyway, is exacerbated by the pandemic.
Hoping that long wait may soon be over. Sean McComish, 7 Tasmania News.
A motorist has sustained serious injuries following a crash on the Lyell Highway this afternoon. The incident between a motorbike and a vehicle occurring between Derwent Bridge and Queenstown, with authorities blocking off the long stretch of road. The Westpac rescue helicopter airlifting the person to the Royal Hobart Hospital for treatment. Long overdue upgrades to Launceston's Albert Hall will begin next month. $10 million will be spent on lighting, sound equipment and toilet facilities over the next 2 years. Also set to be renovated, the entrance to the hall on the City Park side, which was built in 1980 and is not heritage listed like the rest of the building.
Especially with COVID, but even without COVID, we find that the entrance is far too small, and for ticketing it becomes an issue for different organisations.
The public will be able to have its say on any changes to the entrance when the planning application goes through council.
The Hobart Hurricanes have begun their Big Bash clash against the Sydney Thunder in Perth. Bowling first, the Hurricanes have been hammered early by Usman Khawaja and Alex Hales. The Thunder is 2 for 69 after 8 overs, and we'll pick up the game live from Optus Stadium straight after the news. Tasmania's new NBL team has announced its inaugural head coach. Scott Roth will cross from the Perth Wildcats to take charge of the Jack Jumpers with the goal of building a generation of stars. He had the winning formula with the Wildcats.
Knocks it down. The Perth Wildcats retake the lead.
Now Scott Roth hopes to take Tasmania to similar heights after crossing over to the fledgling club after spending 2 years as assistant coach for Perth.
I want to win a championship, and from day one, that's going to be our goal. That's what we're shooting for.
Roth's resume is extensive, a 160-game NBA player at 3 clubs, part of the coaching team at a further 4, and now entrusted with a brand new face on the basketball landscape.
Start incorporating the right kind of players with high character, great values, work ethic, things that I really love about what was in Perth with some of these guys and a generational group of guys that have just been able to build a culture and stick with it.
As someone who played alongside the likes of John Stockton and Karl Malone while at the Utah Jazz, Roth knows the importance of building a team around top talent.
My goal is to try to find 3 or 4 or 5 core players in this free agency class that we're going to go after, that we can just start building around and then add here and there and then find out where our imports fall in at that point.
Also part of the job, making the Jack Jumpers a core part of Tasmanian sport.
I really think we can land some of these kind of players and build around them, and players that want to go on a journey and really want to do something incredible in their first season there in Tasmania and build something special.
Roth starts here in March ahead of the Jack Jumpers' entry to the league in the 2021-22 season.
Good evening. Well, it's normally around this time of the year that Bushy Park warms right up, and today right on top of the temperatures with 26, Hobart 19, Launceston 24, 20 today in Burnie and Devonport. Grove recorded 23, King Island and Friendly Beaches 22, Flinders Island and Lyawini 21 degrees, Lowhead and Strawn 20. Mostly clear today, some cloud evident over the northwest and northeast of the state but skirting the southern coastline. Cloud over Victoria and coastal south of New South Wales. Most of the north and northeast of the country has cloud linked to thunderstorms. Tomorrow, a high near South Australia has a ridge extending our way, the north and west of the nation under a complex arrangement of troughs and lows. Winds tending westerly, 15 to 20 knots, more northerly over the northwest and northern waters, light and variable winds over the west. Hobart tomorrow looking for 23 degrees and partly cloudy. Huonville 27 tomorrow and 26 for Campania, a sunny afternoon. 26 for Launceston and partly cloudy. Devonport 21 along with Georgetown. Burnie expecting a top tomorrow of 23 and partly cloudy, Strawn 21 and Wynyard 23, and St Helens tomorrow a high of 24, partly cloudy, bit of cloud over Swansea, 23 the top and 21 for Port Arthur. UV moving on up there to an extreme 12 tomorrow. On Saturday, fine apart from the chance of a morning shower over the east, St Helens 26 degrees, fine day on Sunday and mostly sunny, Launceston 29, and on Monday hot and partly cloudy, a thunderstorm or two may brew in the afternoon, Swansea 31 and Hobart 33. A sizzling 41 in Perth tomorrow, sunny and 32 in Adelaide, fine weather over Melbourne, a possible shower though for Sydney, 23 there, a shower for Brisbane and a storm in Darwin. Sunny in Hobart, 17 currently, 20 degrees right now in Launceston, Devonport mostly sunny as well and 18 degrees. Fairly mild today, Kim, but things warming up over the next 2 or 3 days. In fact, by the weekend, as we mentioned, temperatures into the mid-30s. That'll be just fantastic and just at the right time too. It took me ages, but I finally got the hard top off Donna's Jeep. So if you see a red Jeep running around with the hits of the 70s blasting out of it, you'll know who it is.
Just typing it is a soft top and you didn't just take the roof off for no reason, Murph. Well, that's your news for now. I'll be back later with updates. Have a great night. We'll see you again tomorrow as well. Good night.